The two male watch cats. A female do nothing sexy girl. This is Neil's Han Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. Silver says so. So does Dixie. And buy some silver, some platinum. Excuse me, some crystallized osmium because why not? Just to reiterate why more people should watch me and listen to my show and subscribe is because oh god, I don't know how long ago, probably over a year ago, well over a year ago, probably like a year and a half ago, I did a couple reports on Russia testing out a nuclear rocket engine. That is not a nuclear missile. It's not got a nuclear war tip on the top of it. It is a nuclear engine run from nuclear power. It's not a nuclear bomb. It's a nuclear engine. And I was saying Russia had 4 trials. 3 of them blew up, which means there was 3 nuclear explosions 2 years ago in our atmosphere that no one told you about, except for Neil's Han Dynasty. I told you about it. The 4th one was a successful nuclear rocket engine test. And this was like, oh god, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I was like, okay, there's something going to be coming out of this. SpaceX has got to do something. Then SpaceX came up with this new combustion rocket engine that's supposed to be the best of 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 the best. And now, thanks to Neil's Han Dynasty and Space Trends actually is the one who did the video on this. I already knew it, but I couldn't get you video evidence of it. So I figured I'd get video evidence of it now that it's out to tell you guys. Nuclear rocket engines are the future. Space travel just changed, folks.
Engines will be used on Starship's upper stage to efficiently propel the spacecraft once it has left Earth's atmosphere, allowing for better fuel efficiency and higher speeds during long-duration space missions. However, despite Starship's incredible power and innovation, it still relies on chemical propulsion, which has some major limitations. One of the biggest problems is exhaust velocity, which is how fast propellant is expelled from the engine. This directly affects the rocket's efficiency and the speed at which it can travel. The reality is that chemical rockets, no matter how powerful, will always have a limit on how fast they can push a spacecraft through space. To get to Mars, a spacecraft needs to travel about 140 million miles, depending on the alignment of the planets. Using Starship's chemical propulsion system, this journey would take 6 months or longer. And that's a huge problem. 6 months in deep space presents serious challenges for astronauts. They would be exposed to cosmic radiation, which can damage DNA and increase the risk of cancer. They would also experience microgravity, which weakens muscles and bones over long periods. NASA isn't happy with this long travel time. That's why they've been working on something far more advanced than chemical rockets, a propulsion system that could potentially cut the travel time to Mars in half or even reduce it to just a few weeks. NASA is developing a new type of engine that could revolutionize space travel: nuclear thermal propulsion. This engine doesn't rely on chemical combustion like Starship's Raptor engines. Instead, it uses nuclear fission, the same process that powers nuclear reactors on Earth. A nuclear reactor on board the spacecraft generates extreme heat by splitting uranium atoms through nuclear fission. This heat is transferred to a propellant, usually liquid hydrogen, which then expands and is expelled through a nozzle to generate thrust. This method is far more efficient than chemical propulsion. A nuclear thermal rocket has nearly twice the specific impulse compared to chemical rockets. That means a spacecraft powered by nuclear propulsion could reach Mars in just 45 to 90 days instead of 6 months. The reason nuclear thermal propulsion is superior comes down to energy efficiency and thrust. Chemical rockets like the Raptor engine have a specific impulse of about 450 seconds, while nuclear thermal rockets could reach 900 seconds or more, meaning they can produce much more thrust using much less fuel. Reducing the journey to Mars from 6 months to 45 to 90 days means astronauts will spend less time exposed to dangerous space radiation and microgravity. Nuclear rockets also use hydrogen as a propellant, which is much lighter and allows for greater efficiency. One major safety feature is that the nuclear reactor will remain inactive until the spacecraft reaches a safe orbit. This prevents any potential nuclear contamination on Earth in case of a launch failure. While nuclear propulsion offers incredible advantages, there are still some challenges to overcome. The nuclear reactor will operate at extremely high temperatures, so engineers need materials that can withstand these conditions without breaking down. Hydrogen is the best propellant for nuclear rockets, but it's difficult to store because it requires cryogenic cooling to prevent it from evaporating. Many people also worry about radiation and safety, so educating the public on how nuclear space propulsion is safe and well controlled will be key. If NASA's nuclear propulsion technology is successful, it could completely change how we explore the solar system. That's all for this video.
All right, anyhow, guys, basically what's going on here is another form of a micro nuclear reactor, which our government's been working on for 50 years in our submarine and submarine tech. The small missile that goes underwater, known as a submarine, to keep all life support engines going, everything like that. So they've already perfected it over like half century. They put it out to the public through NNE, who's taken the lead of the small modular reactors and the micronuclear reactor industry here in America. That's why I'm not giving financial advice, but I was very, very seriously tell you to look into that company, Nano Nuclear Energy. They've already doubled in the past 2 months. It took anyhow. You ought to check into those because they are the release valve for government perfected technology being released to the public. What that means is new tech, obviously, coming to the marketplace, opening up new opportunities such as mining, infrastructure on islands that never had power, remote areas that were hard to get diesel gas to now can have a micro nuclear reactor and have more than enough power. It's going to change everything. New tech's going to change everything. Along with I did a report on these rocks that were found 6,000 meters under the sea when America did a land grab, which I also did a report on. And we own about 80% of these rocks. And these rocks, because of the uniqueness of the pressure and the combination of these three elements, actually are able to, they've discovered new tech, new science. They discovered that oxygen is created not just by photosynthesis, as our science teaches our children in schools. We have just discovered this last year. So that new tech adds a lot, because if you can take water and separate oxygen and hydrogen, well, obviously now this engine they're talking about, this nuclear engine, requires hydrogen. So humans require water. So now you've just dual purposed one resource on the station, which means you've freed up half the space, because you can get water from different planets and asteroids in the form of ice in outer space. Outer space is cold as hell. And as far as cooling the engines, all they need to do is have an intake from outside space, have a filter on it, and they can cool that shit down real quick. That technology will come eventually. But this new technology is going to revolutionize everything, and it's going to be the next industrial revolution brought forth by taxes and tariffs on other countries, just like in 1890s when it was taxes and tariffs were done so successfully it brought us the Industrial Revolution. Well, it's happening again. Amazing how history repeats. There's 3 times in the past 100 years that tariffs have been used. 100 years, 150 years, excuse me. 2 of them unsuccessfully, 1 of them very successfully. Right now, the geopolitical, economical scenario going on in the world suggests through historical reference that this is a good time for tariffs for America, and it'll bring the next industrial revolution. And the fact that we've made so many discoveries of new things, how to separate water and hydrogen. Hydrogen's very necessary. How to separate oxygen, not oxygen and from hydrogen in water. I misspoke, my bad. So that there's so many new things, great things coming for America. I just don't see us falling anytime soon. I mean, to think that America's going down. No, we're purging. We're getting rid of the trash. What happens when you clean up a crack house? It looks like shit, and then you get to work remodeling it. It's a beautiful house again. Welcome to the new America. Have a good day.